All right, let's get right into it. We're about to explore a document called the Gnostic Indictment. Now, the word Gnostic, it comes from Gnosis, which is really all about getting direct, personal knowledge of the divine. But this document, it argues that our entire reality is a system built to stop us from ever doing that. So a heads up, this isn't just for fun. You should think of this as an intelligence briefing, a kind of field manual for what the source calls the Gnostic War.
Right at the start, the source gives you a choice, and this isn't some metaphor, it's presented as a very real final warning. To keep going is to choose to see a version of reality that, once you really get it, you can never, ever forget. The choice is yours.
And look, the reason for that warning is simple. According to this indictment, what we're about to go through isn't just a theory. It's a schematic, a blueprint of a prison you didn't even know you were living in. And once you see the bars, you can't unsee them.
Okay, so here it is. The central, explosive accusation of the whole thing is this. Our reality, the world we all agree on, isn't some random cosmic accident. No, it's an engineered environment. It's a farm, and its real purpose is not what any of us think.
Now, to understand the farm, you have to understand the crop. The source has a name for it, Loosh. It's defined as the raw emotional energy that comes from our suffering. In this model, fear isn't just a feeling, it's a commodity. It's the main resource, a kind of spiritual food, in a hidden economy that powers these parasitic beings.
See, the indictment says we've got it all wrong. We look at all the systems, finance, politics, media, and we think, oh, it's all about control.
But the source is very clear on this. Control is just the farming technique. It's how you manage the livestock, right? You keep them docile, keep them productive. But it is not the end goal.
And this is the final, brutal part of the accusation. The whole machine, the entire setup of our world, is really designed for one single purpose: to get human beings to convert their natural, divine, high-frequency energy into a low-frequency, chaotic form that can be eaten. In this view, we are the livestock, and our suffering is the harvest.
So if this reality is a farm, a pretty crucial question comes up, right? Who are the farmers? Who is running this massive, complicated operation? According to the source, the wardens of this prison aren't human, not at all. They're non-physical intelligences that exist just outside our normal range of perception. The document points to two main classes of these beings who act as the, let's say, middle management of this whole farm. On one hand, you've got the Greys. The source describes them basically as the lab techs, a cybernetic race running a planet-wide genetic project, maybe to create a better food source or just more compliant bodies. And on the other hand, you have the Reptilians. Think of them as the Enforcers, an ancient warrior class, the prison guards who build our systems of hierarchy and control, and they operate through fear.
And this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you've seen the movie The Matrix. The ancient Gnostics called these enforcers Archons. The indictment says the agents from that film are the most dead-on depiction of how they work. They're non-human intelligences that can jump into and possess any sleeping human, what the Gnostics called a Hylic, to shut down anyone who starts to wake up and threatens the system. They are, for all intents and purposes, the ultimate prison guards.
So this brings us to a really key concept in the indictment, something called the revelation of the method. The idea is that the control system actually tells us what it's doing. It confesses its crimes and shows us how the machine works, but it's all disguised as fiction, as entertainment. It's a pretty clever psychological trick. If you show the prisoners the prison blueprint and they pay to watch it as a movie, you've gained their subconscious consent.
The source looks at popular culture not as art, but as schematics. Monsters, Inc. is presented as a children's cartoon version of Loosh extraction. Stranger Things is seen as a way to launder the very real Montauk mind control project, turning it into nostalgic fiction. And then there's The Matrix. The document calls it the most explicit confession of all, a direct blueprint of the farm where humans are kept asleep in a simulation, literally serving as batteries for a parasitic machine intelligence.
So after laying out the whole accusation, the Wardens, and this method of confession through fiction, the indictment doesn't end with a call to arms. It doesn't tell you to go fight. Instead, it ends with a total, radical reframing of the whole problem. It presents the Gnostic solution.
This quote from the source: "This is everything. The Gnostic Breakthrough is realizing that the prison isn't held together by the strength of the jailers. It's held together by the amnesia of the prisoners. The entire system only works because we have forgotten our own true divine nature. And when you look at it from that higher perspective, this parasitic control system, the Archons themselves, they're not some cosmic mistake. They're not a flaw in the code of creation. They are a feature, not a bug. They are the perfect, custom-designed opponent. You could think of them as the resistance weights in a cosmic gym, a sparring partner we ourselves created to force our own spiritual evolution, to make us stronger by having something to push against.
And this is the final thought the indictment leaves us with. What if the war isn't won by fighting the Wardens? After all, that just generates more of the low-frequency fear and anger they feed on. What if true freedom, true liberation, isn't about destroying the prison at all, but about reaching a level of consciousness where you remember who and what you really are, and you just simply walk out of the cage?